Hello, I'm Maciej Mikos and you're watching World News live from Warsaw. Friedrich Merz has officially been elected as the next German Chancellor. This follows 2 rounds of voting, with Merz failing to secure the seat in the first round by just 6 votes. Following the second vote, Merz's candidacy received 325 votes in favour, 9 votes ahead of the required amount, making him the next Chancellor of Germany. The ruling coalition consists of 328 MPs, meaning some of the members of the coalition voted against Merz in both rounds of voting. This was the first time an appointed Chancellor has failed in the Bundestag vote after an election and successful coalition negotiations, leading to a repeat of the vote, which cemented Merz as the next German Chancellor. Poland is facing an unprecedented attempt by Russia to interfere with the upcoming presidential elections, said Polish Digital Affairs Minister Krzysztof Gawkowski at the inauguration of the Defence24 Days conference in Warsaw. Our correspondent Don Arleth is at the event.
We're here at Defence24 Days, one of the most important security conferences in the Central and Eastern European region, and according to Poland's defense minister, one of the most important of such events in the world. Now, the opening remarks were made earlier this morning by Poland's defense minister, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz, who talked about all the security issues here in Europe, about uniting the alliance, about spending more on defense. Currently still 8 members of NATO are not hitting the 2% mark. Poland, the highest spender of GDP per capita, so it's a very fitting place for Poland to host this event, of course. But it's not only heavy weapon systems and hard defense. Poland's Minister of Digitization, Krzysztof Gawkowski, talked about the very real threats that Russia is posing both in the cyber realm and even to the elections which are about to take place here in Poland, the presidential elections coming up just a few days from now, at least the first term. Let's take a listen to what the minister had to say.
Poland is the most targeted country in the European Union. In 2024 alone, over 600,000 cyber incidents were reported, with more than 100,000 of them deemed serious enough to warrant intervention by Polish national services across various sectors. During the ongoing presidential election, we are facing an unprecedented attempt at interference by the Russian Federation. This is not an attack aimed at any single electoral committee, it's an assault on all of them. These actions are part of a coordinated effort combining disinformation campaigns targeting our information sphere with hybrid attacks on Poland's critical infrastructure. The goal is clear: to disrupt the normal functioning of our democratic state.
In addition to these threats, the Polish defense minister also said that one of Poland's priorities is to protect critical infrastructure in the Baltic Sea, something that all the Baltic countries have a heavy vested interest in. Reporting from the Defence24 Days in Warsaw, Don Arleth, TVP World.
The upcoming Victory Day parade in Russia is a legitimate military target, according to retired General Ben Hodges, a former commander of the U.S. Army Europe. During an exclusive interview with TVP World, General Hodges also said that Russia wants a ceasefire only to ensure that Ukrainian missiles and drones don't fall on the Red Square during the parade.
It absolutely is a legitimate target, number one. Number two, when the Russians first proposed the 3-day ceasefire, the Ukrainian prime minister immediately said, why 3 days? Why not 30 days? Nobody believes that Russia would ever live up to any ceasefire. And so this 3-day thing, while it maybe was intended to curry favor with the U.S. administration, it really is because they did not want drones or rockets landing on Red Square during this parade. I think that Ukraine will be very clever on whatever it is they do, whether they hit it during the parade or maybe they hit it the day before or whatever. Or they may just hit targets all around it while so much air defense is focused on Moscow. The Ukrainians have proven to be more clever than the Russians from day one of this war. and I'm sure they'll do that again. But absolutely, that is a legitimate target.
The Lithuanian Border Guard Agency released a video showing an incident in which 9 men illegally crossed into the Polish territory from Belarus, close to the point where the borders of Poland, Lithuania and Belarus converge. As we can see in the footage, 12 men were trying to force their way into Poland by using a ladder placed over a barbed wire segment next to an opening between the border wall and a body of water. 9 of the men who succeeded in crossing the border were chased after by the Polish border guards with the support of their Lithuanian colleagues. The rest threw rocks at the officers. According to the border guard services, the migrants were brought to the frontier by 4 masked men. The incident is yet another episode of the border migrant crisis, with Poland having prevented almost 7,000 people from Belarus from illegally crossing into the country in 2025 alone. Another prisoner of war exchange between Russia and Ukraine took place on Tuesday. 205 Ukrainian and 205 Russian prisoners returned to their respective countries.
The news was first announced by Russia's Ministry of Defense and later confirmed by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on his social media.
Today, Ukraine brought back 205 warriors, young men and older soldiers from nearly all branches of the military, defenders of Mariupol and fighters from across the front line. They had been scattered across various Russian regions, imprisoned in a system designed solely to humiliate and destroy their humanity.
As in previous times, the United Arab Emirates acted as a mediator in organizing the exchange between the two sides. It was the 64th prisoner exchange since the start of the full-scale war in Ukraine, according to Ukrainian Ombudsman Dmytro Lubinets. So far, approximately 5,000 Ukrainians have been returned home.
Ukraine has called on other countries to snub Russia's Moscow Victory Day parade celebrations that on May 9th will mark 80 years since the victory over Nazi Germany. The Ukrainian Foreign Ministry said in a statement on Tuesday that marching side by side with the Russians is tantamount to being co-responsible for the bloodshed of murdered Ukrainian children, civilians and military personnel. The statement further stressed that the Russian military has been committing atrocities in Ukraine on a scale Europe has not seen since World War II. The ministry further specified that the appeal is addressed at countries that continue to hold a neutral stance on the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Participation of soldiers from such countries in a joint parade will directly violate their declared neutrality and will appear as support for the aggressor state, the ministry added. Notable guests at the parade are set to include Chinese President Xi Jinping and Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico. NATO and its partners are bolstering their cybersecurity with thousands of participants attending this year's Locked Shields exercise. Cybersecurity experts gathered in the Estonian capital to practice defending against coordinated cyber attacks during the biggest live-fire cyber defense training in the world.
Locked Shields is it's the biggest and most complex cyber defense exercise, which brings together multiple experts from academia, industry, public and governmental sector. All together here this week we have people from more than 41 nations which are working together with the same scope to provide NATO and NATO alliance the means on protecting each other and have a good understanding on what cyber is. Right now we are addressing a power grid attacks, for example. What will be our answer when we're going to have a completely blackout? This is where we are training nations on how to react on this kind of attacks. Regarding elections and misinformation campaigns, this is something also that is addressed during the exercise through the Stratcom track.
And that would be all the news for now. Thank you for watching. The Bottom Line with Murray Cato is coming up next.